For this video, I will provide an overview of the Motorized unit type, and list the factions which currently have these units available. Then, cover some generic strategic applications for squads assigned to Motorized units, to include insight about how the opposing unit types currently available are of neutral threat to the success and win of operations by Motorized teams. As defined by the United States Army, motorization is the use of unarmored wheeled vehicles for the transportation of combat units. Motorization greatly increases the strategic mobility of infantry units, but provides less of a tactical advantage in small unit combat due to the armor limitations of most wheeled assets. However, in larger battles, motorized infantry has an advantage in mobility, allowing them to move to critical sectors of the battlefield faster, resulting in a better response to enemy movements and the ability to outmaneuver the adversary. Citing squad developers directly, motorized units specialize in speed over armor and protection, making use of wheeled vehicles and IFVs. What this means is that motorized units in squad are specialized to quickly deliver infantry into battle and provide combative vehicle support, but are hindered by a weaker resistance to incoming firepower. The real-world 2nd Motorized Infantry Battalion of the Singapore Army utilizes the Terex infantry carrier vehicle to provide infantry forces with enhanced protection, mobility, and firepower. This enables troops to function at a higher tempo and at longer ranges, covering a wider area of operations and missions, such as Recon and Medevac. Currently in squad, there are 9 playable motorized units, 3 under the Blue 4 Alliance, 3 independent, 2 pack, and 1 red 4. Starting with Blue 4, the first of the motorized units is the 12th Armored Regiment of Canada, who deploys an armored reconnaissance squadron emphasizing motorized capabilities centered around the advanced Coyote armored recon vehicle. Also under the Blue 4 Alliance, the 2nd Cavalry Striker Brigade Combat Team of the United States Army, specializing in striker-wheeled armored vehicles to provide a potent combination of firepower and agility to enable rapid deployment capabilities, reconnaissance, security, and direct combat operations. Finally, the United States Marine Corps' 3rd Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalion, utilizing LAV-25 wheeled vehicles for mobility and adaptability, excels in providing critical reconnaissance, surveillance, and target acquisition capabilities. Moving on to the independent factions, the first unit is the Irregular Militia Forces Irregular Motorized Platoon, a nimble and resourceful military unit that relies on improvised light attack vehicles and older generation BRDMs and BTRs to excel in fast and flexible maneuver warfare. The second independent unit is the Insurgents Irregular Motorized Platoon. Also utilizing BRDMs and BTRs, employs a mix of volunteers and locally recruited fighters to leverage their resourcefulness to adapt and respond to dynamic combat scenarios. Next, the Turkish Land Forces 51st Motorized Infantry Brigade achieves enhanced effectiveness in a variety of missions equipped with PARS 3 infantry fighting vehicles to combine mobility with infantry firepower. For motorized units under the Chinese Alliance, the first is the People's Liberation Army 112th Combined Arms Brigade, prioritized with the most advanced heavy weapon equipment, such as the ZBL-8 infantry fighting vehicle. Again under the Chinese Alliance, the PLA Navy Marine Corps' 7th Marine Medium Battalion, a highly mobile amphibious infantry formation also focusing on wheeled ZBL-8 infantry fighting vehicles. As for the Red 4 Alliance, Russian Ground Forces 3rd Motor Rifle Brigade specializes in motorized operations utilizing BTR-80 and 82 armored personnel carriers for both mobility and protection to swiftly deploy and maneuver across different terrains. These units have one major characteristic in common: rapid infantry support and recon. The key to the efficacy of operations performed by motorized units lies within proper utilization of wheeled assets to carry troops into contested and uncontested battle space in direct conjunction with combative firepower aggression and parallel reconnaissance missions. The first major strategy of motorized units is to maximize combative potential through the transport and delivery of ground forces by means of wheeled vehicles. The passenger capacity combined with the speed potential of motorized units' wheeled assets enable a squad or multiple fire teams to quickly advance towards team objectives. Successful light assault of capture points by motorized units is accomplished by rapidly dismounting fire teams in areas that would otherwise be suboptimal by foot, naval, or aerial transport. As opposed to larger assaults by opposing units, ticket losses are minimized by proper utilization of wheeled vehicles to discreetly, but with haste, deliver small groups of infantry into prioritized battle space to outmaneuver the enemy or advance from a flanking position. In terms of transport from one objective area to another, motorized infantry leverage their high agility and adequate armor to challenge the adversary to a race for territory control. Transport of smaller groups of infantry again proves to be an advantage in terms of firefight reinforcement, as the speed and armor capabilities of motorized units' vehicle assets grant mounted troops the perfect balance between haste and protection to provide backup of contested areas. Because of the swiftness of the wheeled vehicle and the lighter personnel liability, risks associated with losing tickets are of less concern to motorized units when engaged in rapid reinforcement missions. Finally, compared to the tracked vehicles of opposing units, most wheeled equipment has the advantage when maneuvering around crowded terrain or over urban obstacles due to the vehicle's additional height and individual struts. Versatile troop transport is further enhanced by the presence of amphibious capabilities in many wheeled IFVs, which greatly reduces the terrain limitations set upon motorized units and ensures friendly forces are not isolated from support. The second major strategy for motorized units is to utilize available wheeled assets to support infantry by means of mobile firepower. In general, motorized equipment is only resilient enough to sustain small amounts of incoming firepower, but it is with agility that the vehicles are enabled to take on more of a hit-and-run role in terms of infantry support. Motorized assets find great success in striking the adversary hard and fast before retreating into safer battle space, while friendly ground forces advance on the enemy's disrupted firing positions. This tactic can then be repeated from alternative avenues of approach, which reduces predictability, lessens the risk of ambush, and results in heightened availability to support friendly forces in combat. Because motorized units' vehicles pack a decent punch, proper utilization of hit-and-run strategies can result in the matched destruction capabilities of heavier assets, such as tracked armor and tanks. This means a group of wheeled IFVs has the potential to outmaneuver and overpower heavily armored vehicles, not due to armament capabilities, but because of wheeled mobility advantages. Beyond motorized assets' direct and aggressive support of friendly ground forces in contested areas, autocannons and other high-caliber rounds expelled from wheeled vehicles can be used for suppression and deterrence. What this means is that motorized infantry squads can work in tandem with their respective vehicle support to cover assaults across open areas or where advancements are in line of sight of opposing units. This is then enhanced further as most wheeled vehicles feature concealment capabilities such as engine smokescreens and launchable smoke grenades. Motorized infantry squads thrive in offensive operations due to their vehicle's ability to quickly deploy smoke concealment of troop movement and distract defensive firing positions with explosive and suppressive payload. The third and final major strategy for motorized units relates to intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, or ISR. The potential for successful scout operations by motorized units is unmatched among the entirety of the battlefield, since wheeled assets hit the sweet spot in terms of speed and protection balance. Efficient scouting by wheeled assets requires skilled combat drivers to discreetly position the vehicle in a location that exposes the opposition's movements without becoming compromised themselves. The haste of wheeled vehicles over tracked armor means motorized units can not only more swiftly spy on the adversary unnoticed, but can also safely escape if conditions behind enemy lines become hostile. Because of their adequate armor capabilities, wheeled assets allocated for scout operations have the potential to perform riskier reconnaissance missions since they can survive after receiving relative amounts of damage or after losing multiple tires. Combined with the armament of the agile ISR gathering IFV, mobile cannons and turrets ensure disabling shots can be dealt to opposing vehicles when friendly scouts have the potential to deny enemy combat support and troop reinforcements. Keeping these strategies in mind, motorized units lack any outstanding strengths or weaknesses and therefore pose a neutral threat to opposing unit types. Though both air assault and light infantry units possess speed advantages over motorized units, the armor capabilities of wheeled IFVs make up for the disadvantage overall. Where the armor protection capabilities of armored and mechanized units are a clear advantage over motorized units, again, the speed advantages of wheeled armor balances out the comparative strength and weakness since motorized units have agility to make up for their lack of resiliency. These balanced pros and cons result in motorized units' potential to rival any opposing unit type without being hindered or easily exploitable. Therefore, success and win of operations by motorized teams is largely dependent on map, layer, and team skill, and not as contingent on enemy faction or sub-faction. In conclusion, motorized units in squad possess the agility and damage absorption to reliably infiltrate objective areas and spy on enemy forces. Fully utilizing the haste of wheeled armor assets ensures disabling incoming firepower is avoided and ground forces are safely deployed amidst combative conditions. However, a weaker resistance to heavier armament means motorized assets are susceptible to becoming compromised if discretion is not applied properly.